Digital romance TV.
Hey, how are you? It's Michael Fiore and Nora Blake, and in this video we're going to talk about how to find a guy who wants to commit. Is that what it says there?
It says will commit.
Will commit, because wants
But
to is totally
wants
different.
to is very different.
Wants to is very, very different.
I think it's more valuable.
I think it is actually way more valuable, because there are guys out there who will commit really quickly, actually. There are guys out there, especially online, who you will find who will basically treat you like you are their girlfriend within 5 freaking minutes of chatting with them online. And they will talk about the future and about what's going to happen and how you're their soulmate and things like that. My question, though, is why is commitment the goal?
Because we're told that's the goal. That's what we're always told.
What does commitment even mean?
You and only you, forever and ever.
Impossible.
Right.
Right?
I totally agree. You're not going to get an argument on that one.
Well,
You know
because
that.
for one thing, we all die. And by the way,
Right.
but even beyond that, forever doesn't exist. But also, there's
all die.
the very definition of monogamy has changed in our culture
Our
over the
planet is dying.
last century or so, right?
Yes.
Monogamy, the word monogamy used to mean mated for life.
Right.
Right? And it used to mean that was the only person you would ever have sex with ever in your life. Not like, well, I had sex with some other people and now I'm with this person. But
Right.
I am only with this person. Lifelong monogamy was exactly what it said. And these days, we don't even think monogamy means that anymore. We even think monogamy means I'm not having sex with anyone else right now.
Yep.
Right? And that's what it kind of goes for. So I'm not even sure what commitment really means to most people these days, except for I think it means to them that they can feel more secure because this guy has said, I just want to be with you. But the problem is when people get committed, they often fall into this trap of not being the same person they were when they were attracting somebody, or really even being working in the relationship in the same way.
Yeah.
Right? There's a level of
I think for a woman,
up.
though, it's the idea of it's like winning a prize.
Yeah.
Right? You've established to yourself and to those around you that you are better than others because this person has decided that he has chosen to be with you and only you.
And a lot of women actually find themselves less attracted to their man after they commit, right? Because that danger of loss is supposedly gone, right?
I think it also has to do with there's a certain level of, well, you chose me. Right, that not wanting somebody who would belong to be a member of a club who would have you as a member,
exactly.
Of you failed the test because you chose me, and I'm not worthy of being chosen, so you suck now too.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, and I know men who do that absolutely.
All the time,
there's the woman who would choose them can't be worthy of
because there's self-loathing that
right.
goes on there. But anyway, I think the idea, again, we talked about this before, but the idea isn't so much to be I want to find a guy who will commit, because you can find that, but they're not necessarily guys you want to be with.
Right.
The guys you want to be with generally are guys who could have options but choose not to.
Yeah.
Right. Who are attractive to other women but want to be with you, which means you have to be someone who is lovable and spectacular in some way.
Right.
Right. I get really annoyed by Twilight, for instance, because
who doesn't get it? Oh,
but
okay.
the reason I get annoyed by Twilight is because of Bella, right? Because she is. I don't want to make fun of Kristen Stewart.
Completely lacking in any personality or value.
Not particularly beautiful. Not intelligent. She has no agency as a character. She doesn't do anything. Right. But there's this fantasy.
And she has no interests besides
him.
Yep.
Right. But she has a werewolf and a vampire fighting over her, and these powerful men who could have anybody going after her and only her for some reason that is never explained because she's not actually that interesting. And I think a lot of women have that idea I just want him to want me for me, even though I don't like myself that much, right? They see themselves almost as Bella. I'm not spectacular. I'm not great, but these guys want me anyway. And the way to get a guy to want to commit and who will commit is really to be somebody who you don't need him.
Right.
Right? You don't even need him to commit is the way you get a guy to want to commit.
Absolutely.
Right? You are okay with the fact that he's not because you can go off and do whatever you want. You have your own life and things from there. When I thought the question was, how do you find a guy who wants to commit? Most guys aren't sitting around thinking, I want to commit. There are a lot of guys thinking, I want a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Right? Especially geeky guys in Seattle. But there's a lot of guys who are just I would love to have a girlfriend, but it's not so much that I want to be committed as much as they're coming from a place of fear where they're man, getting a girl is a really hard thing.
Right.
Never mind getting multiple girls. That'd be impossible. I just want one, and I want to fucking commit to her so she won't leave me. Right? And I hate that idea of just when you commit to somebody, that's a trap in some way. Right? So all of that said, the way to get somebody to commit is to be interesting, be spectacular, meet a guy who you like, who has options as well, and evolve to a point where you're both like, listen, I don't want to be with anybody else right now.
Yeah.
Right? And that flies in the face of that whole model of like, well, you're supposed to want to get married and be together forever and get this paper. I actually think that in some ways, having like a written thing that says we are committed can be detrimental because it does make people relax too much in a weird sort of way. Or
it lets down their natural instinct to fight for something.
Yeah, and I've heard people say things like, well, you married me, you have to stay with me, right? Which is always funny because, like, no, they don't, because getting divorced is difficult, but not that difficult.
Yeah.
Right? So that was kind of a ramble on that particular topic, but the way to do it, again, is really the way to get the guy to commit is to be the woman who doesn't need him to commit.
Absolutely.
Right? To be the woman, a lot of guys wanted to, freaking commit to what Helen of Troy, right? And she didn't want any of them. But it's basically to be a person who has your own agency, has your own life, has your own success, has things that you are doing, that you are going towards, and if he wants to come along on the ride, that's great.
Yep.
Right. Okay, so leave your comments down below, and then go to digitalromance.tv for more videos. Bye. Did you know there's a 3-step formula to make a guy fall desperately in love with you? Go to digitalromance.tv/CHH to learn a simple method any woman can use to capture a man's heart and make him love you forever. Again, that link is digitalromance.tv/CHH.